Change your heart, change your life, change the planet.
Hey everybody, it's Tim Van Orden coming to you from the Blue Trail on the north end of Bald Mountain in Bennington, Vermont. I'm running through the Glastonbury wilderness and having lots of thoughts about how I got to this location today. And I thought I would make two videos in one. I'm going to start out with a tip video, and then I'm going to expand that into a much larger conversation, which will get posted on my other channel, A Mind in Motion, as I really unpack and go into tangential nuances of that conversation. So the tip today is that if you can't get yourself into action, if the action is too big, that action is for the wrong person. That action is not for you. And this goes back to tool number 2, which was start who you are. What I mean is that we have a lens that we experience the world through. It's called consciousness. And consciousness is not a direct representation of physical reality around us, social reality around us, nor even of our own physical states and experience or history. Consciousness is a very convenient lens. It takes data about our body, it takes data about our felt state or affect, as psychologists call it, and it takes that data and maps it onto the world. When I woke up this morning, I was really, really tired. I've been training on average 2 hours a day. I'm doing probably 4 hours of farm work a day, really hard, intensive labor, planting, pruning, mowing, tilling, cutting and dragging trees, etc. So, and then there's the cognitive work that I'm doing, the writing and the research and the editing and transcribing, etc. It's exhausting. So when I woke up this morning, I was like, my consciousness took a mental inventory, took a physical inventory, looked at the world and said, I'm not big enough for that world. I'm not big enough for that task. So therefore, don't engage. Don't engage in the guy that you've been. Don't engage in the goals that you've set, because you're going to fail. And it's right. So even though consciousness can make mistakes, it doesn't make them in the way that we think. Consciousness only becomes problematic when we hold on to the belief that we do have to engage in that goal right now in this state as this person from this perspective. So what you do instead of giving up, you give in and you say, okay, this experience, this inventory, this assessment, this perspective in this moment allows me this much activity. So rather than saying that, oh man, I'm the guy who runs up mountains every day, I say, I'm the guy who's capable of getting dressed right now. So rather than looking at the big picture, I look at what can I do? What did my conscious inventory and then created perspective, what wiggle room did it give me? Did it give me enough wiggle room to get dressed? It did. Am I excited about that? No, but I can do it. And I did. Okay, can you make a smoothie? Yeah, I got some wiggle room in there for a smoothie. So I made one, and I did it, and I drank it slowly, and I made it yummy. I didn't make it the most nutritious smoothie in the world. I made it decently nutritious, adequately nutritious, and also flavorful, so it didn't empty that tank any further. But now I've got two things that I've accomplished, so actually my gas tank's getting a little bigger. My sense of self-efficacy is starting to grow a little bit. My lens is widening, and I can see myself in more of the world. And that's really what consciousness is. How much of the world is it going to allow you to interact with? It's your lens. Are you zoomed in tight, or do you have a wide angle perspective? And the more you engage, the more you develop that sense of efficacy, the wider the angle opens up, and the fewer things in your life become a threat. And I'm now back to the summit of the mountain. And this is a view, I don't know if you can see it down there, is Mount Greylock in Massachusetts. That's the highest mountain in Massachusetts. And over there, I don't know if you can see them, but Catskill Mountains in New York. And this trail behind me heads down into Woodford. But I'm going to go this way into Bennington. And we're going to start dropping 2,200 feet now. All right, so this conscious lens, if you apply it to what it has deemed appropriate, you'll be able to take steps. So if you find that you can't take the step that you had hoped to take, that you had committed to take, or as Tony Robbins and many others would tell you, write down your goals the night before and then wake up and look at them and then act on them. Well, the person that wrote those goals, or should I say the perspective, the conscious lens that wrote those goals, or that saw those goals as exciting and doable, that's not the conscious lens that you're waking up inside of. You're still you, but you're you with a different perspective. You're you with a different physical and mental inventory, and therefore a different length of leash. All right? And when we stretch that leash too far, it snaps us back. And a tendon is something that stretches. The word tend means to stretch towards. So a tendency are the things that you get yanked back towards if you try to stretch too far away from your center, from your perspective. So if you find yourself unable to take a step inside of a goal, well, then that step is not for you. That step is for a different version of you, a different perspective of you. So make it smaller. If you can't take that step, it's still not for you. Make it smaller until eventually you'll find a size of step that you can take. And then you'll find another size of step that you can take, and you'll build momentum. And then that lens is going to widen and widen and widen, because now you're getting new information. The guy that woke up in bed, he didn't have much information. He simply had a groggy state, lying in bed, inactive. He didn't have any data coming in that said that he's capable or competent. The only data he had was the physical inventory that his consciousness assessed. But now that I'm moving in the world, I have new information to incorporate into that model, into that perspective. And that allows that lens to widen as that new data is factored in. So if you can't do something, make it smaller. So I got dressed, made my smoothie, got in the car. Where are you going? I don't know. Mount Anthony? Something about Mount Anthony doesn't feel exciting to me. Probably because I've just been there and the trails are really steep, and I didn't feel like steep. That was more than my perspective was allowing for. All right, well, I did Kelly stand yesterday. That's all uphill, I don't know. So I needed something that my brain didn't have a picture of already. It didn't have recent experience of, that it was going to be afraid of. And the Blue Trail here on Bald Mountain, it starts right in town. And I rarely do it. And I'm not sure why that is, but I rarely do it. And because I rarely do it, I didn't have any recent experiences to process, to say, oh yeah, that's too much. All I had was, oh, there's a trailhead there, and yeah, it's Bald Mountain. But I didn't have a lot of data to use to deter me, to trigger my sense of, not capable of that. So I found myself at the trailhead, got out the door, started my watch, and I started walking. Okay, I'm on the trail, I'm moving. More data coming in. Okay, he's capable, he's moving. And little by little, I started going along the trail, feeling better, and then I found myself running. It wasn't a conscious choice. I didn't say, okay, you need to start running now in order for this workout to count. It just happened. I felt, or my consciousness suddenly gave me access to the running module, and I found myself running. And I wasn't running fast, but that started growing. And I didn't know how far I was going to go because I didn't have that image in my head of this particular trail and where it goes. I was just moving on the trail with kind of this fog in front of me, like a fog of war. You don't know what's in the future. You just move towards it carefully inside of a lens, always on guard and always tuning in, and then moving within the range that your consciousness feels is appropriate, stretching just a little bit at a time. And before you know it, I'm moving faster. And then I get to a really steep section, and without consciously choosing it, I felt myself accelerate. And my body was just playing. My body was doing what my body was doing. I wasn't telling it. I wasn't commanding it. I wasn't willing it. I was just letting it play, and it wanted to run fast. And if you get out of your own way, and if you stop telling yourself what you have to do and what you need to do, or what you should do, or what you wrote last night on a schedule, or what you wrote last month for your running plan because your coach said this is what you're going to do a month from now on this day. Wow, I don't even know who I'm going to be in the morning. How could I possibly know who I'm going to be a month from now? Because they're not factoring in the variability of this conscious lens. So I found myself running up a steep section, and I wasn't getting tired, and that excited me. So I started pushing, and I wasn't getting tired, and I felt my leg strength increase, not decreased. And that was even more exciting. And now suddenly my conscious lens is like, whoosh, it's wide open. And it says, oh, there you are. There's the body. There's the person that I knew was in there. But the person that I woke up as didn't think that was possible. He didn't feel like that person. That person's there. And you're always more capable than you realize in your toughest moments. Now, in your best moments, you might be right at the limit of what you're capable of. And some people make the mistake of trying to go beyond that limit. And really, pushing limits is not about being at peak and then redlining and blowing the engine. Pushing limits is about waking up with only this much wiggle room, and then pushing it until, boom, it opens up into full potential. And that's what I experienced on this run today. I got access to my full potential, and as the run went on and the steeps kept going, I powered up every steep. I was flying, I was bounding up 35 to 40% slopes and feeling really strong. And when I noticed my breathing was constricted in my chest, I said, ooh, there's my next thing to focus on. Expand that chest, relax your breathing, open up your diaphragm, breathe into your lower back. And suddenly I had even more oxygen, and I increased my speed further until I'm flying over the top of the mountain and down the other side, and ran for 4.5 miles before I decided to turn around. So this is going to be a 9-mile workout, but it didn't start out as a 9-mile workout. It started out as a guy in bed who felt like crap, who really didn't think he was capable of anything big. And he wasn't. That guy wasn't. So I started who I was. I didn't start as the person I thought I needed to be, or as the person that I should be, or as the person that I committed to be. I started who I was. And as that guy approached the world, I looked at the step in front of me. Can I take it, or is it too big? If I can't take it, make it smaller. And keep making it smaller until it's a step that you can take. All right. I think there's enough information in there for the tip. And now we're going to continue on and expand this into a full-on mind in motion. So for those of you that are just sticking around for the tip, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you have a comment, if you have questions about this, or if you've tried it and you have some experience with it, leave a comment below. If you like this channel, subscribe and click the bell to get the updates. And if you want to support more conversations like this, come on over to Patreon, $1 or $2 a month, and you help me produce more content like this. And as I move my videos over to a mind in motion, I can't monetize that channel, so I'm not going to make any money for making those videos, and that's okay with me. I don't do this for the money, but it becomes more and more difficult for me to maintain this type of work without your support. So I really appreciate that.